Does practicing the guided meditation technique, Yoga Nidra, decrease your need for sleep? For the answer, stay tuned. Yoga Nidra is a guided relaxation technique in which the student lies in Shavasana, typically on a blanket, may have some padding under the head, or in the back of the knees, for example, and the teacher, or a recording of a teacher, guides them through a series of visualizations, breathing techniques, etc., designed to take the student progressively into deeper and deeper states of relaxation. The student who wrote in was told that 15 minutes of Yoga Nidra could replace 1 hour of sleep per day. And she wanted to know why that was. And indeed, when I first started learning Yoga Nidra many years ago, we were taught that 45 minutes of Yoga Nidra could decrease the need for 4 hours of sleep per night. Now, as a doctor and a scientist, this claim struck me as extraordinary and likely baloney, because I thought to myself, well, geez, then if we just do 2 Yoga Nidras per day, we don't have to sleep at all at night? That just kind of didn't sound like it made a lot of sense to me. But let's talk about the practice, and let's talk about the science behind it and what's really going on, and try to come to some understanding of what's happening here. There's no doubt that Yoga Nidra is a profoundly relaxing practice. And I have heard from people, particularly people who have a lot of anxiety that keeps their mind going 100 miles an hour most of the time, who often have difficulty in regular old Shavasana, find that the constant talk by the teacher and the visualization suggestions keeps their mind occupied, and they don't ruminate endlessly, anxiously, as they otherwise often do in relaxation practices. I personally found it to be a very relaxing practice, and I really do believe it's a practice that has a lot of value. And let me, by the way, just clarify that Nidra, which is the Sanskrit word for sleep, is not pronounced Nidra. That's an unfortunate mispronunciation that gained a lot of currency in the yoga world. It's Yoga Nidra is the correct way to say that term. Now, as far as I know, there's no science to support this notion that Yoga Nidra can replace sleep. But there may be something to it. So let's examine this. Now, of course, there's no doubt that Yoga Nidra can help take someone who's in a state of sympathetic dominance, sympathetic nervous system dominance, and bring them to a state of parasympathetic nervous system dominance. In other words, take them from the fight or flight state to the rest and digest, sometimes called the relaxation response state. That's clear, and that's obviously of great benefit to many, many people. But I believe the claims about the lower need for sleep stem from brain waves. Specifically, when we sleep, the body cycles through different states, with delta wave sleep being the deepest and potentially most restorative. And so I believe the idea is that by taking you in Yoga Nidra through deeper states of sleep, that you progressively get to these restorative brainwave states, delta wave, etc., that may reduce the need for sleep. Now, one thing to remember here is that Yoga Nidra, like yoga in general, is a practice. You get better at it the more you do it, the longer you do it, and the more mindfulness you can maintain throughout the practice. It gets better when you do it for a long time, regularly. That just like everything else in yoga. Okay? Now, many people, when they start Yoga Nidra, me included, space out at some point, stop hearing the teacher, even fall asleep. That is not a deep state of relaxation. That is And of course, the people who fall asleep are often falling asleep because they're so sleep deprived that they get on their back and someone starts talking and they just kind of doze off. Many people do the same thing in Shavasana, and that does not have the same benefits as Shavasana, although it may meet some of the need for sleep. So yeah, if you do a 45-minute Yoga Nidra and you end up sleeping for 20 minutes, that probably does decrease your need for sleep 20 minutes. But we should keep in mind that we live in a deeply sleep-deprived society. Most people are walking around, driving their cars, driving trucks, operating heavy machinery, all the things that people do in a state where they're not fully rested. Now, there's an excellent book, one of the best books I've read this year, written by a Berkeley scientist, called Why We Sleep. This is probably not great bedtime reading, however, because it's actually pretty scary what the chronic lack of sleep our society and our individuals in our society have does to their health, both physical and psychological, and what it does to society in general in terms of accidents, car accidents, etc. Very scary stuff. So sleep is very serious. And I think we need to be careful if we tell someone, oh, do this Yoga Nidra, then you don't need as much sleep when they're already not getting enough sleep and you may be giving them license to skip even more. I suspect that people who are very good at Yoga Nidra, people who are very experienced at Yoga Nidra, people who have cultivated their ability to relax deeply through pranayama, meditation, and other yoga practices, indeed may reach very restorative levels of brain waves in their Yoga Nidra practice. And those people may indeed lower their need for sleep. And that may be where these truisms about yoga reducing the need for sleep come from. But if you're a run-of-the-mill Yoga Nidra practitioner or someone who's new to the practice, I do not think you can count on getting to these deeper states that would obviate the need for some sleep. If you haven't tried out Yoga Nidra, I highly recommend it. I believe it's a wonderful practice, can be deeply therapeutic in many ways, but please don't count on it to lessen your need for sleep at night. Okay, all for now. Thanks much. Namaste.